Let me know if this is something that resonates with you. You've been aligning your life more and more lately, but there is still a little bit of something that's feeling off. It's still something that makes you come back into a space where you feel like, I feel a little bit hopeless when it comes to this circumstance, when it comes to something that I've been trying to do for a long time. I feel a little bit like my hands are tied and I have no control here. The reason why I'm saying that is because this is something that I've been experiencing myself. A couple of days ago especially, I was really feeling this. I was really feeling like, damn, I am hopeless to get some of the things that I want. It's hopeless for this to happen. And I understand where it comes from now, very deeply. And it is that I was feeling hopeless because I couldn't control my feeling state anymore. I was feeling hopeless because I was trying to cater to my feelings and living through some sort of program, through some sort of expectation of something to happen, something to occur. This thing, I was expecting it to do this thing, but it didn't happen, and now I feel hopeless. Not because that thing didn't occur, but because I can't be in control over my feelings by the thing that I was trying to achieve, by the thing that I was trying to do. And so I keep finding myself in this place where I feel, oh, there's no hope. And it's so easy to believe that it is about that thing that you're focused on. If it is that relationship, if it is that job, that thing that you want, whatever it is, we're so deeply attached to a lot of different things, and it all varies a lot from person to person. So whatever thing it is that you've been attached to, you don't actually want that thing. You want control. There is something within the feeling state that is coming from your past experiences that you've used mechanisms of your mind, thought patterns, trying to attach yourself to an idea about who it is that you should be or improve in a certain way, that have led you to be detached from your authentic self, and also has led you into a life where you're trying to control and filter the feeling state. The hopelessness doesn't come from not having that thing. The hopelessness comes at this point in your life, if you found this video, because you're never gonna get what it is that you're trying to do, which is for the feeling state to disappear by the arrival of this thing. The feeling state is always going to be here. If you are here with me today, and that means that it's time to put in the work. And when I say put in the work, I mean it in a way that perhaps you didn't do it before. Because before in my life, I got very confused about putting in the work. More perhaps YouTube videos or more work on my real job or whatever it is. No. It's time to work on connecting back to your higher self. Time to connect back to the heart. And the thing about that process is that it's always available to you in this moment. You can always connect to your higher self and be your authentic self in this moment right now, which is ultimately what we're all searching for. But you gotta start giving yourself that permission to start reacting differently to where it is that you are in your situation in life right now. You gotta start looking at your life in this moment from a different perspective, because that is when everything's going to change. The universe is always working for you. When you are arriving in that slum of feeling hopeless, then that only meant that the universe didn't allow you to move forward with what it is that you wanted to achieve in this moment, because it came as a result of trying to run away from something that the universe wants you to become fully whole and complete and integrated with instead, so that that can be the source of the joy and the expansion that is now going to take place of your life, and so that the expansion doesn't come because of the fact that you do not consciously live with who it is that you really are. That is always why the universe doesn't allow you to have that thing just yet, and why it seems to slip through your fingers. Because you're still trying to use that as a coping mechanism for what it is that you're experiencing within yourself. And this happens on an unconscious level, so it can be very hard to understand exactly how that works, because a lot of the times we do things without even understanding why. And we also get stuck in that state of feeling like, oh, I'm hopeless, it's never gonna happen. Simply because of the perspective that is in place in this moment, that there should be something done about this moment right now, as to take me away from this. Everything is going to change for you when you start putting a positive spin on what it is that's happening on those very hard and challenging days. Something that has been extremely hard for me. And that is where I am talking about that you gotta start putting in the work. You can't be reactive anymore. You need to start consciously choosing how to meet those moments. And some examples would be to slow down, meditate, place your hand on your heart, and start telling yourself a different story. Start using your mind, be playful with it. Tune in, feel what you're feeling, be with it. Recognize that on those days where it feels very challenging and that you really want that thing and it feels perhaps hopeless, that it's happening simply so that you can come more into the awareness of what's going on right now. Because this uncomfortable space is what is going to permit you to expand your consciousness, which is going to allow you to have more things of abundance come into your life as a result of that. Because in order to experience something great, you must also have the capacity to experience something not so great. It's the yin and yang of life. You can't have one without the other. You can keep trying to run away from this unconscious world and live in a life where the scale of your emotions and your feeling state is here, and you can only experience joy or something bad to this extent and only joy to this extent. But when you start feeling a little bit more of the pain here down this scale, then it can bounce back and expand for more joy, more excitement, more fulfillment to come into your life, because you've expanded your consciousness through what it is that was always lurking beneath the surface. Now, if you had the capacity to experience life from a very broad sense of consciousness, then it becomes very easy for you to manifest as you are experiencing those very elevated states of emotion that are so powerful to manifest. And on those days where you are experiencing those little lower emotions, you don't allow it anymore to turn into thought patterns. That's where the work comes in. Because you start slowing down and put in a 20-minute perhaps meditation in the morning. Oh, I noticed today. Or you can do it even every day. Make a commitment to being present. Make a commitment to your heart and your body. Connect to the body. We're all so scared of the body. That's where all of these issues actually come from. That we don't want to sit in the body. Because that is where all of these sensations have been buried and suppressed and made unconscious. So the more that we kind of tune back into the body through practices and doing things of a nature that just activates the body, the more we start connecting to it, and the more that we can start to be consciously made aware of all of these things that is trying to come into our conscious awareness again. But it requires you to become active, to consciously start living your life, to start in those moments, to put that positive spin on it. The universe is blessing me in this moment with the opportunity to deepen my conscious awareness so that I can experience deeper joy also. In this moment right now, even though I don't fucking understand why I'm here and I'm feeling this and I feel so pulled to do this thing, then that I develop the discipline to tell myself that I trust this place. I am in the right place, even though it doesn't feel like it. And that is where the key to this transformation that you've been searching for your entire life actually lies. In your ability to go into this uncomfortable space and to treat it with a different perspective, that of a positive outcome, that of a positive nature, because it truly is. It's trying to deepen your sense of consciousness so that more beautiful things can come into your life, so that you can be more authentic, more yourself. And it's all gonna happen for you when you start actually putting in that work of being in that space and recognizing that in your life so far you've been very unconscious. If you sit in a 20-minute meditation and you try to hold just empty thoughts, try and write down a little bit what type of thoughts are coming down, when you catch yourself that some thoughts are fleeting back up to the surface, what is the nature of my thoughts? Are they something that is feeding a lacking nature, or are they something that is feeding a loving nature? And on those days where it's very challenging, and you notice yourself because of the feeling state that, oh, I don't have, it's not possible, then to change also the way that you speak to yourself. To start working on speaking to yourself in a different way. Start being active with what it is that you're doing. Start being consciously active in that space where previously you was unconsciously active. Because that's the only way to truly start reprogramming that space also. To start writing in a new bit of code into that space. To instead saying, oh, I'm hopeless and this is never gonna work out. To instead say, you know what, I love myself. And this day is a little bit shaky, but I know that this is happening for my greater good, and I'm so blessed to be alive and have the capacity to experience this down period too. I know that this is gonna work out great for me. And to actually start just repeating those things, to start change this dynamic or this pattern that you've been living in your entire life. To start actively working on rewriting it. Because it is in those dark days when you feel hopeless that it's so important to understand that the only reason why you're feeling this way right now is because there is a very deeply written belief within your program right now that says that I'm not supposed to be here and this is not okay and this is a big problem. Okay? While you have the power to shift out of that and change the narrative around it, but you have to start doing it consciously and start practicing it and start working your way out of this old way where you were just left to the unconscious mechanisms that you've been living your life through, to start changing that narrative. In a lot of cases, and as I mentioned many times before, a lot of those programs that we have actually start releasing and letting go automatically by themselves as we tune into what it is that we're experiencing without judging it or telling a story about it, because then it sort of gets integrated and it's not in resistance to us anymore, because those things in resistance only happens because there is a mind that's trying to create resistance to it. So when that happens and it gets integrated again, you just kind of start feeling more able and more used to just being in that more positive way of feeling and thinking and doing things. Because you start working through all of these things that you've accumulated so far within your being, that we save down over the experiences of our lives. And that sets us free. But also you need to start realizing that those days where it feels a bit challenging are always going to exist. And that's part of the perfection that we are living in this universe. And it's your sort of way forward into all of the things that you want to start co-creating with that too. To be a conscious person with that and change the narrative about that. Because there's so many people, including myself, that's been trying to manifest things for a long time, but then we don't get close enough to the manifestation because we allow those challenging days to pull us down. Because we feel like, oh, it's hopeless. And as soon as that comes in, we surrender into the victim mentality. Into the victim mentality that I am a victim of this feeling and I can't do anything about it. I'm lost. When in reality, you still hold all the power with a shift of perspective. As soon as you realize that the story that you're telling yourself about the feeling state, you might not even be aware of the fact that you're feeling something in this moment, by the way, because the feeling is unconscious. It's only reflected in how you're reacting right now with the hopelessness that we're talking about. That's how you know that you have this feeling state right now, because that is how it is being reflected. A lot of the times we don't even understand what it is that we're feeling, but it's so easy to sort of understand it by looking at a person or looking at yourself and seeing the nature of your thoughts. Are they of a lacking or loving nature? Because automatically they just sort of seem to stem out of whatever thing it is that's dominant within us. And sometimes when the dominant thing within us is that of a very challenged emotion and a very challenged program created as a response to keep us away from that emotion, then we snowball into this little ball again, or we kind of just shrink and our power just fades away because we give it up in that moment. Start putting in the work, and you are going to see that those things that you want in your life is going to start moving closer to you. And there's no waiting here. You can't wait for the right opportunity here. The right opportunity is now, no matter where you are, what the circumstance looks like. Because it's not about changing what you're feeling. It's about coming into conscious awareness of it and still deciding that this is who I want to be now. This is who I actually am. I am a loving individual. Start operating like your higher self and like your true dream self. And start doing that in the present moment. And start seeing the truth of the situation that you're in. You are not even these thoughts or these emotions or these programs or anything. The more that you become aware and choose to place your awareness of that of a loving nature, the more you start manifesting that. But if you continuously get caught up in that space where, oh, now I'm hopeless again, or now this thing is not working out again, then realize that this is exactly the moment that you need. Because the universe is trying to deepen your conscious awareness to these things that you buried about yourself. And it's so normal to feel hopeless in this case, in this moment when that is happening. Because we lived our entire lives trying to control this space. But when you release that control and realize, oh, I'm supposed to feel in this way right now, it's actually a blessing, something trying to move into a whole new elevated path in my life, and that I start embracing it and start operating from it and with it and co-create with it, start speaking positively about it, realizing that I'm supposed to feel in this way, but that doesn't mean that I am supposed to be a certain type of person or that I am left to be a victim of this thing. Of course, consciously choose who it is that you want to be, but it doesn't mean that you have to be this person that is sitting in your room and just waiting for a better day to come around or whatever it is that previously was limiting to you. Put in the work, start doing the meditation, start connecting deeply back to yourself, understand that you're in this space and start to consciously be there with it, flow with it, and start speaking about it differently. And you're gonna move out on the other side of this. And if you wanna learn everything about this, make sure to check out my courses. I'll leave link down below. I have 2 of them where you can learn a lot about how all of this is working. So you can get onto that work and set yourself free. So I'll see you in my next video. Bye.